All right, all right. It's Friday. We're back at the podcast. I'm here today with Stefano Muniz from Coach Stefano Soccer. Welcome to the program today. How are you?
Good, man. Thank you for having me.
You got it. So another Monmouth County business. Stefano's business is in Freehold. They have a indoor soccer facility that he's going to talk to us about. He does coaching. He does private lessons. They have team events now. It's a pretty cool thing that's going on. Coach Stefano has was come to me from Mike from Hoods 24, and they are Mike's son gets trained by Stefano, and they've kind of taken on the indoor courts because there's not a lot of indoor courts, and they found a niche, and they're now working to train young soccer players. So that's awesome what you're doing.
Oh, thank you, man.
I love the facility too. Thank you
you.
for giving me the tour of it. But very cool. And maybe in the future we can do a live broadcast.
Yeah,
from there.
yeah,
I know
awesome.
you asked for that this morning, but it was a little bit hectic of a day. But
don't worry about
we'll
it.
get there. So tell everybody kind of how you got into this. You were a college soccer player.
Yeah.
And you decided now you're going to be a soccer coach, and sounds like hard work and entrepreneurism is in your DNA.
Yeah. So I was in college, and I'm in my fourth year, and I start writing in my notebook one day, and I'm like, if I have this many kids in an hour and I charge this much, I can do okay. And I was thinking, what am I gonna get if I do the degree? Like, if I finish college, am I really gonna do anything else?
What was your degree going to be in?
I was first doing biology, and then I switched it to psychology, and then eventually I was going to become a physical therapist.
Okay.
But then after kind of looking at that, and then everyone, it's a little bit of a funny thing, but everyone complained, physical therapy doesn't work. So I'm thinking like, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but to take on all that student loan debt to make, not the most amount of money.
Yep,
I was
sure.
like, I've been blessed enough to be debt free going through college because of soccer and stuff like that. So why now am I going to go and put myself in tons of debt? So,
And soccer seems like it's your passion.
yeah. I even so I grew up my whole life playing soccer, and I even authored. My father and I authored a book in 2020.
Oh, cool.
Talking about soccer and all that stuff. So yeah, I love it.
Your dad was a soccer player too?
Yeah. My dad grew up over here in New Jersey playing soccer, and then he went to Spain for a little bit and had a little bit of a small time there playing second division in Spain.
Wow, that's pretty great.
Yeah.
And so now, so you realize, all right, you pad and pen, and you're like, this isn't gonna make it. I can do this on my own. I'm not gonna finish college.
Yeah.
You leave what, senior year?
I leave my senior year during soccer season.
Wow.
Yeah.
What would your coach say?
Oh yeah. No one really liked that. So at the time, the year before that, we won the conference championship. I was an all conference player, and this year I was a senior, and I was supposed to kind of be the captain of the team.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to get surgery on my foot, and so I really wasn't going to have that much of an influence on the team. I couldn't lead the guys. I probably wasn't going to play at all because it was going to be like a 2-3 month recovery process, which is how long soccer season
Sure.
is. So I said, all right, time to go.
Time to go. So you pack your bags and you're out of college, and then so now you start. What do you do day one? Day one of being the entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You just dropped out of senior year of college. Were your parents on board with this? Like, what was their take?
My dad is very open-minded. He used to tell me when I was little, and I'll never forget this. I don't care if you want to be a clown. Be the best clown you could possibly
No way.
be.
That's the greatest line. Someone told me that 20 years ago in my, when I was in college trying to figure out, and they said, listen, if you're going to shovel dog shit, be the best at shoveling dog
That's
shit.
it.
So
That's it.
I've kind of lived that same mentality. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Tell
exactly.
him, give him a thumbs up to that one when you see him.
Yeah, and so I always
The
had
clown one sounds a little nicer than the dog shit one.
that, and like it also is a little bit more like, I don't know, to me like funny, like yeah, I'm gonna be a clown.
I'm the best clown though.
He goes, you get the red nose. I'll send you to clown college if you want, whatever you want to do, but be the best.
All right, I love it.
That was always the thing. Be the best. And so I always had the back in my head, like, hey, if I ever wanted to go in an alternate route here, not do the college thing and all that stuff, I know my dad would be cool with it.
Mhm.
Mom is a little harder to convince.
Yeah.
But my dad would be okay with it. So
You let your dad convince your mom.
Well, you know, it always was. It was, do what you kind of want, but then ask for forgiveness a little bit later.
Yeah, sure.
You can smooth it over with mom later, but now we're gonna go for it.
So you go for it.
Yeah.
And you get your first coaching opportunity?
Yeah. So it's a funny story. My first coaching opportunity came in like a weird way. So I'm my friend. He's like, hey man, if you come and you bring me to the soccer spot, you could play on my team tonight, and that way, like, we both can play. It'll be a lot of fun. I'm like, cool. So I pick him up. We get there, and his teammates are immediately like, no, we have too many. He can't play. So now I'm sitting
You're
there.
just like the Uber driver.
I'm the Uber driver with cleats on. Like I'm sitting in this facility, my cleats on, like ready to go, and now I can't play. So I just look like a dork over there, you know. And so this little British guy comes over and says, I need one more. So I was like, one more? Okay, I'll play.
I'll be your guy.
So I end up playing against my friend's team and lighting them up. You know, I scored 3 on them, and I was pointing at them, haha, you know.
Yep.
You guys have too many, right? My bad. And so then we beat them. And then that little British guy comes up to me afterwards and is like, hey, you're a pretty good player. I would love to have
Pretty good play. You scored all 3 goals.
How you doing? And he goes, I'd love to have you, like, coach for me. I said, well, what do the rates look like? And he's like, we could start off at like $30 an hour. So here I am, self-graduated.
Yep, sure.
Right? And don't have a job yet. $30 an hour is pretty good.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, let's do that. You know?
So the British guy got you into this whole business. Do you still keep up with him?
You know, it's funny. I was actually talking to him the other day, and he's super busy himself, so I didn't get the chance to like really connect with him. But yeah, I still.
That's great.
Yeah.
So now he's got you coaching a team. Coaching children or coaching adults?
So I was doing rec programs. So
Okay.
For example, kids who are beginner in soccer, you know, doing their little, just beginner stuff,
Yep.
you know.
Sure. So now then you start to realize, wait, there's an opportunity for coaching some private kids too.
Yeah. I start doing some private lessons, and it's like so funny to think like I was like sweating, telling a parent, I could do it for $25 an hour.
Yeah.
You know, like
But you had to kind of break into it. You had to get into
Yeah.
it. Like, you know, I think all, you know, money aside, like you had to like kind of learn
your
the
teeth.
ropes. You got to cut your teeth. You got to make some mistakes too.
100%.
And you have to become confident in what you're doing. So I always think if as long as you're doing the right thing and you're doing right by people, everything else will follow.
Yep.
Like you just had to get in there. You just had to kind of tell a parent. That first time you went to go tell a parent, I could do this private coach. You're probably nervous,
Oh,
you know,
yeah, sweating. Yeah.
but now you have a whole group of parents that are, you know, believe in you,
yeah,
follow you, and, you know, are working with you.
yeah, exactly.
And I'm sure you've seen some great progress on these children.
Oh man. So then this is another funny story. So one of my very first, if not the first kid that I trained consistently, his name's Jack.
Okay.
And Jack, it was just like a 1 in a million player. He's left-footed, excellent with the ball, and so I started training Jack, and then Jack actually went on to be right now he's playing Division I college soccer at NJIT. So,
Wow, that's great.
So now to see Jack from when he was this little kid with the mohawk to
Yep.
now, like, you know, the announcer saying, and Jack Krongold has entered the match. It's like, wow, you know, they just track this kid's journey over 8 years is like insane.
That's awesome. Do you try to watch this game?
Oh yeah, I go over there to Newark to watch him,
Yep.
and then I try to catch the live streams when possible,
Yep.
and then yeah, he actually sometimes helps me out too now with the coaching. So it's
That's great that you could bring some of these
Yeah,
guys back
yeah.
in now. So now as these guys, you have guys that you started with when they're 10, 11 years old that are in
Yeah.
college now.
yeah, a lot of
And
them.
now from there, what happens next? So you're coaching. And now when you're coaching these young kids, before you have your facility, you're coaching them what, at public parks and stuff
Oh
like
man,
that?
it was guerrilla warfare. Anywhere
Okay.
I could show up with a couple soccer balls and get a training session in, I was doing it.
Okay.
Man, you should ask Mike one day. The amount of times I got kicked off the turf field. So these parents are paying for an hour of training, and I would have to like sometimes be like, "Hey, look, we had to move during the session. It took about 10 minutes. I'm going to give it to you for free today because I feel guilty collecting your money, not doing the full hour."
Yep.
And so I used to always get kicked out of the fields, moved around. I'd be on this nice turf field. I'd have my little corner of the field. And they'd be like, no, you got to go to the muddy field up on the hill. And I'd be like,
Let's go. Let's go.
And I have this wagon. Things would be falling out of the wagon. I'd be trying to put it back in. I'm
God.
like, what am I doing with my life?
That's when you realize entrepreneurism, right?
Yeah,
Right
yeah.
then and there, you're like, "What am I doing?"
Yeah.
If you don't have that moment, it's like worse. Like, you know, that it's never supposed to be that easy for the entrepreneur.
No, it can't be. It
So
can't be.
now you're pulling your wagon. You got a good group of kids. It sounds like at this
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
And then you decide, let's look at a facility,
Uh,
and you meet Mr. Hoods.
I meet Mr. Hood Services. We'll keep you cooking. So I start training Giancarlo, and Mike was one of the people that I'd be training his son, and then the township would come over and be like, "Hey, we need this field in the next 40 minutes." I'd be like, "I'm gonna be done half an hour." Like, you got to go now. It's like, come on, bro. Just give me the corner of the field for the next 30 minutes. We'll call it even. But
They don't realize it's helping their players. It's helping the team.
Yeah. For a little bit there, I was part of that community. Like, parents would see it, they would sign up for the training, they would get better, and then their kids. Part of the issue is their kids would get so good, they make the higher level teams, and then they would leave that club.
Yep,
So,
yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Yep.
But,
So now you meet Mr. Hoods, and
yeah.
you're coaching his son.
right, and then he contacts you one day. He's like, "Hey, I find indoor a spot to rent out, and I'll pay for the rental so you can train my kid in their facility because it's too bad out. The weather's too bad." I go, "Hey, I just called the 4 places in this area, and
Yep.
they're all booked until April." He goes, "You got to be kidding me! Like."
And Mike doesn't accept no for an answer.
No. Mike gets things done fast.
Yeah.
And
So then you
promptly, yeah.
find, what did you find?
So then he goes, "Look, why don't you go and find a spot and we'll build our own indoor spot?" I go, "That's funny." He goes, "I'm not kidding." I'm like, "All right." So I go and I start looking at warehouse spaces, and I find this one in Freehold. It's 25-foot ceilings, perfectly located where I used to drive to some of the kids' houses. It's actually down the street from Jack's house.
Oh, wow.
How funny is that?
That is small world. That's awesome.
And so then I'm like, I really want this one. And so we look at this one in Marlboro first, and Mike's like, "I like this one." And I'm
In
like,
Marlboro.
in Marlboro. And I'm like, "Mike, let's check out this one." Like, because I was really hoping for this one. And we walk in there, and Mike goes, "We should do this." I'm like,
Then
"Yes."
that's in Freehold.
Yeah,
on-
865 Park Ave.
And is that the business road, or is that?
Yeah, that's that restaurant 618?
Yes.
It's down the street from that. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
The place is great too. Have you been there?
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, Matt, the owner. Shout out to Matt. That place is awesome, on point always.
Yeah.
So now you find this facility. You and Mike are like, now you and Mike are getting in the pickup truck every day, looking at facilities and looking at spots and
Yeah,
what
that
do we
was day
need
one.
to do?
That was day one. We found it.
Wow. So on the first day you find
First day, second place we looked at, and here's how crazy this one was. We talked to the landlord after the deal's done. He goes, "There was a guy before you who wanted it, and he just took a little too long with his paperwork, and you guys showed up after him and just submitted your stuff right before him, so that's why we gave it to you."
Wow.
So we almost didn't get the spot.
And what was that guy going to do in that spot? Do you know?
Oh, he probably was gonna do some kind of trucking thing.
Yeah,
But
that's what it's geared for over there.
Yeah,
What was it before you guys took it?
it
over?
was a trucking company.
Okay.
Another little funny story. While we're building it, this guy shows up, brows down, big muscle guy. "Maroney, you owe me money," and and Mike's there, and he's like, "No, I don't. This is a whole new company.
Business.
Yeah, this is new business here. Like, we have nothing to do with."
Yeah.
And the guy's like, "Oh, okay, sorry about that." But so the previous guy must have had
God. So
some.
he's got some money on the street there that's
Blood money out there.
uncollectible at the moment. Oh, man. So now you guys get it. You guys sign the lease. You guys do all the paperwork. Now you guys just start working, right?
So I actually had a missions trip to go to Africa planned, and it just so happened to fall on right after we signed the lease. So I signed the lease on January 29th, and that same day I'm taking a trip to Kenya, Africa.
My wife just got back from Kenya, Africa.
No way.
She went on a photography trip.
Oh, the safari thing?
Safari thing, and
That's
with the
sick.
lions and the elephants and all the
Yeah.
animals. She had a great time. She was gone for like 17 days.
Wow. Yeah, I was gone for 10, and that entire time Mike's doing his thing where it's like he's working at like light speed.
Oh, yeah, he works. Once he gets something in his mind.
Yeah. He's sending me updates, and I'm like, "Oh wow, that's all done. Okay, now by the time I came back, everything was finished. We just needed the guys to do the turf, and they got that installed in one day. It was like, how do you do that in 2 weeks? Like, I was gone for 10 days.
Yeah.
We just signed the lease.
The good thing is you got out of town right at the right time. You don't have to worry about the build out.
Yeah.
So now you have this build out, and you just start, like, you just brought kids in like right after that, right? Like you opened
Yeah.
in 3 weeks.
Yeah, so I always had a decent amount of players that wanted to work with me and stuff, but I didn't have a space for them.
Yep.
So now that I had the space for them, it was like, okay, right here. And then before you knew it, like it was so much demand that we met capacity for tonight.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there's nights that you can't help.
There's nights where there's like people who show up and it's like, sorry, this is capped. Like this is too many kids.
So
in here.
how does it work now? So is it like open play? Is it leagues? Is it
It's
coaching?
it's training, and so we have our program where it's like it gives you a guarantee that your child gets better. And then we have our drop-in stuff. So the drop-in stuff is where like a lot of people they want to drop in whenever they want, but the issue is sometimes there's no spots. So
How many people how many kids can play at the same
so
time?
we keep it capped at 16. That's a good number because then we can play 4 versus 4 and have 4 different teams and make a little fun tournament game
Yep.
out of it during the training session and stuff like
And
that.
how long is an average?
75 minutes.
75 minutes. All right.
Yeah.
So they come in, get warmed up, do some drills, and then start playing some games.
Yeah. That's it.
That's awesome. And so now what's the future look like? I'm sure you have, you have some ideas of where this expands to because again, I'm sure you're going to want a bigger facility before long, or a second facility.
Yeah, it's a funny thing, man.
And it's addicting.
Oh
Once
yeah, I'm there all
once you
day.
start to see it happen, and you're like, it's just addicting.
Yeah, that the parents are already like, oh, you're gonna grow out of the space like quickly.
I said that though. I said that when I first saw it. I was like, you guys are gonna be out of here. You're gonna be busting at the seams.
Yeah, and it's true. We're meeting capacity, like which is it's
the
the
goal.
opposite. Yeah, it's like a really good problem to have.
Yeah.
So.
So did you tell Mike to start looking for additional
I'm
facilities?
scared too, man, because next thing you know, we're gonna have like 5 of those things.
One time I met him over at that Good Sports in Wall Township.
Yeah.
That place is huge.
Yeah.
And then there's one right by my house in Eatontown. There's a bubble.
Oh yeah.
Or Tinton. It might be Tinton Falls over
Capelli,
there.
yeah.
But like I pass that some days and I see all these kids at the bubble, and then across the street there's another huge field. So
Yeah.
I could see Mike wanting to take that on. I think it's called Capelli Sports.
Yeah. That's an interesting one. That one is owned by some billionaire.
The
Yeah.
Capelli one?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. So, I don't know if that guy's quick to give that one up, but
Yeah, I don't. It's well kept too.
yeah, I mean that guy did not spare any expense building that thing,
Yep.
and that guy like when he wanted to buy out the previous company, that the billionaire guy showed up to like an office like this with $1 million in a briefcase and said, I really want to buy you out.
Wow.
So that money talk, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's crazy. So you might have tell Mike that story. So
Yeah.
he knows how to do it. So that's cool. But so now you've only been in there a few months, and you're filling it up. So are you going to do like summer camps and?
Yeah, it's summer camps. We just finished a spring break camp. That was another one where we hit capacity on it, and that was a blast. So me and one of my trainers was there for 60 hours straight, going from 9 to 9 every day, Monday through Friday.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you had different groups coming in.
Yeah. We have everything from 7, 8, all the way up to some kids were 16, 17. Yep.
So there's a big demand for this. There's a big need for this.
Yeah, one of the issues that a player will face inside of a team setting is that they don't get looked at as an individual or trained as an individual. So their individual skills are lacking.
Mm-hmm.
And what could happen over the course of a season is you're doing the team trainings where they'll focus on the team. You'll be driving really far to play games, but you're never getting the correct amount of technical work you would need as an individual. And that's the kind of the space that we fill is like we focus only on the individual and their technical abilities.
Wow. So you're fitting a need, and it's great to see that these kids are getting better.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the parents must love you.
Oh, a lot of people they say, "Oh, parents are the worst part." It's like my parents are great. I'm very blessed with the people that I get to work with. Like they call me, we talk on the phone. I message back and forth them. It's like
So you have a good relationship with these parents.
Yeah, very very blessed to have the relationship that I do.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Wait till you get one of those crazies. I'm sure they're coming at some point.
They're out there somewhere.
I mean, I remember playing sports as a kid, and there was always that one parent who was always talking too much to the coach and having an opinion on it.
That's funny. Well, the thing is, I'm doing training, so like the team stuff, that's where you get the crazies.
Yeah.
Or you people come out like people that you wouldn't expect to be crazy. Like, wow, you just yelled that from the sideline. That's impressive, But
And part of it too is some of these parents are living through these kids now vicariously. Like they didn't have the greatest career, or their career was cut short with an injury, or they're just so competitive and they just want to. Like they part of it is for these kids is to have fun.
I tell parents all the time, like, there's a because it's so competitive now. You have social media; everyone sees all your accolades all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, last week Jimmy scored 2 goals. My kid only scored one. Like, it's just this constant like neck and neck battle.
Yeah. It's keeping up with the Joneses for the kids now.
Yeah, yeah. And so what I tell parents all the time is, look, if your kid's not having fun, maybe they're not in the right environment.
Yeah.
You got to make sure, because enjoyment is a big factor in terms of developing a skill and also staying with the sport. 73% of kids quit soccer by the time they're 13.
Why is that?
A lot of it becomes they recognize that maybe I don't have a future in it. They change sports. Some of them want to focus more on school, things like that. But a lot of it too is they get burnt out and upset with their experiences early on in the soccer playing
Wow.
world. Yeah,
That's crazy. I didn't know it was that high.
yeah, 73% by the time they're 13.
Jeez. All right. Well, that's.
And then from high school to college, it's less than 1%.
Yeah. Well, those kids know that they're.
Less than 1%. And then if you're talking like Division One, it gets even.
Yeah.
So.
That's crazy. So that's awesome. I love that. I love what you're doing. I love that you're helping these kids and you're making an impact on their careers, on what they do and what they like. And I think you're absolutely right. There's some sports, like when you played as a kid. I mean, I played almost all sports, and then as time went on, you kind of dipped out of the ones you didn't enjoy anymore, or that you weren't going to be good at.
Right, right.
Smarter if you know it's not if you know so, I think I played soccer one year. I was the first. I was like 5 years old, and I remember my dad being like, "You were really good when you played anymore." I just didn't want to play anymore, so I was out of the game. I was a one season guy. I fit the 73% threshold.
There it is. There it is.
So that's funny. Well, I'm glad that you got to come on today and tell the story about what you got going on. It's Coach Stefano Soccer LLC, and we're going to let Coach Stefano, as we wrap up, tell everybody where to find you on social medias. And again, I think this is a great example of chasing your dream. I mean, again, a college player playing, realized, loved the sport, loved that, could make a business out of it. I mean, again, when you look at businesses, you have to really enjoy it. And just like the kids and burning out, you have to think about that as a business owner. As a business owner, it's hard. Not every day's an easy day. Not every day's fun. You have the crazy parents that are on the soccer field are also the crazy parents of customers, and so it's the same thing. So I think what Stefano has done is created a business around something he loves, which I can't say enough good things about. So I'm inspired that Coach came on today, and tell everybody how to find you.
Yeah, so if you're looking to find me or for training, or if you want to come just check out the facility, you could message me on Instagram at Coach Stefano Soccer, or our facility is located at 865 Park Ave, Unit 6, Freehold, New Jersey. Live at 865.
Awesome. Stefano, it was a pleasure to see you today. Thanks for coming in,
My pleasure, Tom.
keep doing great things.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.